Hey, Nato here. Today I'm going to start a new what if. If you're seeing this app here, I'm going to use it for this one. Deku is going to have a quirk based on luck. Well, mostly luck, but basically um he will have multiple powers. Like over element, he can create, control, and manipulate them pretty easily. Um, he has a regeneration quirk, a size changing quirk so he can become smaller or grow bigger, as well as a strength quirk. If you think it is OP, well, there is a backlash, well, a drawback to it. His quirk all works based on luck, and every attack he has different amounts of roll for them. The more the attack can be effective, the bigger the rolls has to be, and the harder it is to get them. As well as in everyday life, practically everything he does kind of require his quirk to be activated. He doesn't even need to activate it on his own, it activates automatically when he do something. So basically, he is born without a quirk. Well, he has a quirk, but it's not activated yet. Normally, they arrive at like age 4 or something. So basically, for his entire childhood, everything's normal and correct and just fine up until Bakugo gets his quirk. Then Izuku goes to the quirk doctor. He says that he's going to have a quirk and to just wait a bit, it should arrive. And at some point, he basically unlocks it. And the first time he used it, basically, he was thinking of throwing a punch. And what happened was just that normally his strength would not have been that good. But what happened, basically, he was punching Bakugo, and the first roll happened, a 20. A 15. The hit was pretty much strong enough to basically throw Bakugo off his feet, asking how he did that, and basically him not knowing. So he tried to punch something else, let's say a 3, a 3, and basically got a 10, and the hit was basically his normal strength. So nothing happened. Well, no, it was stronger than his normal strength. Which basically what happened was that he thought maybe his quirk was a strength quirk or something, which kind of is. And so basically, he decided to see how far he could go with it, but for some reason, well, most of the time it seemed to be random. Punching could literally be ineffective at all, like getting a 1, or like 3 times stronger than what it should be at 20. So they knew that he had a quirk, and they thought, okay, so it's based on luck, but we don't know how it works, except that when he does something, it happens like that. And then at some point, he, something happened, and Izuku decided to try and um, throw a ball, and basically the same thing happened as always, and it gets turned. I'm just going to say, let's say for this one, he got a 1. Someone started saying, haha, even with your quirk, you still have low sides for your lock. Basically making Izuku angry and thinking, if only I could, if I had Bakugo's quirk, I could basically just blow them up, putting his hand in front of him and activating his elemental quirk and throwing a freaking fireball. But he wasn't trying to hold back because basically he didn't know about it, and it basically went for the strongest thing he could do, and he got a 16. His body was never used to do that yet, and his body didn't have control over it. So that happened, and then he rolled a 3 for the resistance to the backlash and broke his arm. Well, not broke his arm, completely burned his hand, almost to a point where it would not, well, almost to a point of permanent damage. He was brought to an hospital. They operated on him. His hand was okay. But for some reason, after that happened, unconsciously, Izuku didn't want to use his quirk anymore. To an extremely high point, which basically made his quirk do, well, basically it shut his quirk down with every other aspect of it, so elemental strength and whatever. Like, literally, he cannot use it anymore for some reason, and that they don't know, but I just told you what it was. Basically, it's like 2 months after he started, well, after his quirk appeared. So afterward, a lot of people, when they didn't know him already, thought he was just quirkless, but Bakugo knew that it's only because of what happened that he doesn't use his quirk, and that he is unable to use it. So, yeah, Bakugo basically defends Deku, since he doesn't see him as weak, he sees him as someone that is just afraid of using his quirk because he know what happened. He was basically looking at it when his hand almost exploded. So he knows why. He knows that it's not fair for nothing or just because he doesn't want to hurt other people. It's because his body couldn't take it at the time. Now his body could take the hits. Basically, now his body is made, well, grew and would be able to basically every attack an element he sends would basically work without hurting him. Yes, there's a bit of backlash, but basically everything goes on the roll of a 10. So the higher the attack is, the higher he needs on the 10. Well, no matter when actually. If he gets an 8, he just feels his body move back a little or stuff like that. If he gets 9 or 10, he basically, well, 8, he just feels a small push against his body. A 9 or a 10 is basically it's like he just didn't shoot anything for him, but everyone else feels it. So we arrived to the day of the Sludge villain attack. Basically, everything happens kind of the same. People try to start laughing at Izuku when he says he's going to UA, and Bakugo just says, "Wait and see when his quirk comes back. You're all going to be sorry for laughing at him." He is still, well, a bully to practically everyone, but not to Izuku because he knows that his quirk can basically be one of the strongest in the universe. Well, in the world, but you get my point. So when they go for this, when Izuku leaves, Bakugo tells him not to worry about it and that when he's going to be ready, his quirk is going to come back and to just try and see it as something good. Since yes, it it didn't activate for a while, but that means it probably tried to or make sure your body wouldn't get hurt or something like that. Because if you remember, Bakugo and Deku always get about straight A's, like 100s on everything. They're freaking nerds, both of them, which is awesome. So both of them can think of that, so it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. So Izuku is still a bit down because of the other students. He goes home and passes by the tunnel, and then the sludge villains come out and tries to attack him. And for the first time, he rolls. Well, another roll is made. He wants to try and evade it. He gets a 2. He isn't even able to move. He wants to go away. He's thinking about it, but he's not able to. Basically, he's not able to go far enough, and the sludge villain grabs him. So then he tries to get out of him and gets another 2. He's basically unable to do anything, unable to grab, unable to even come out of it. And just thinks after a bit, if only I could just send back a fireball. And a 13 happens. He is inside the sludge villain. All Might just arrived, and suddenly All Might just sees the sludge villain grow, 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 and he basically just explode, screaming that it burns. With Izuku's clothes basically burning, but him not sensing a lot, basically. Because his quirk, because his body was basically like just doing, I don't want to get hurt again. Um, if there's more thing to my quirk, I don't want to get hurt by it. And in the background of it, his body was basically doing like rolls after rolls after rolls after rolls. Basically just trying to make his body immune to it for 10 years. His body is basically immune to every attack that he can launch, practically, as long as the D10 is high enough. Which, oh, look, his body is barely affected. So, yeah. Also, well, at the end of that, Izuku basically just realized that his quirk came back. All Might told him, "Are you okay?" Basically, then, after starting saying that, he starts grabbing the sludge villain. Izuku says, "Yeah, sorry about using my quirk," which All Might says, "It's okay, you were defending yourself." It's powerful as well. "Are you going to UA next year?" Which Izuku basically says yes. And All Might just thinks his quirk could be really good with one for all. I should ask him. And so he asked Deku if he would like to have more, if he could get more power, would he take it? And I'm going to do a greed check. The higher the roll is, the more he resists it, so and the lower he is, the more he's going to accept taking the thing. And oh, looks like he takes one for all. Because yeah, this Deku, everything is going to be on the lock of the dices, and I am not the one who is going to choose anything. I choose what he used to attack, what he tries to do, but the dice are what decides what happened. His quirk basically changes reality when he tries to. If he wants to try and go past someone without being seen and he gets an at 20 on that, he could basically walk in front of the person and literally it's like he's invisible. That's basically how it would work. His quirk changes reality itself, and for his attack, basically the higher rolls mean the stronger you are. So yeah, seems like Izuku took it, and Izuku trained his body a lot because he knew that if his quirk came back, and that it was a strength quirk and stuff like that, he needed muscle to at least make it more powerful. So he is, he has enough muscle to basically take one for all right now, which All Might basically sees because Izuku's clothes are burned. Well, some of them. So he basically tells him that he can give it to him right now, which Izuku accepts, and All Might basically takes out the hair and says, "Eat this." Deku eat it, and All Might tells him he's going to need to digest it before it activates. Well, before he's able to use it. And it basically makes. And it's basically after he digested it, like later that night, his quirk evolved and augmented. This one here that I'm moving is basically to augment the chances on rolls or the power. It's basically a modifier for D&D. That augmented by 2 for every roll he can make. Power rolls, chance roll, intelligence check, anything like that, basically is augmented by 2. So let's say he gets a nat 20 here. Like, the big number is what you get at the end. The small number under it is what you rolled with the dice. So basically now everything has +2 on it. So more chances of it. As well as something that I decided to do. Every attack and stuff like that he checks for how powerful it is and stuff like that. After doing the attack, I'm rolling a nat 20, well, a d20, and basically that was the roll for what I was going to say, but for every different attack that he has, um, after doing the attack, I would roll that and see how high it is. If he gets a 17 or more, basically that element of attack basically gets a boost of 1d4 to see how much higher, well, how big of a modifier he gets on the power of the attack. which that doesn't have a, well, no, that does have a backlash on deku, but it basically has the same d10 to hold. So right now, yeah, every fire type of attack basically has a +5 now, which I should probably write somewhere. But yeah, so over the course of the next 10 months, All Might is training Izuku, and the only thing that I'm going to say is that using One for All doesn't require him to um, use, well, his lock basically doesn't activate for that. When he does attack, his quirk does roll a d20 to see how good he resists to it. Basically, right now, without rolling a dice, he can go to 10% without rolling a dice. If he goes higher than that, he has to roll a dice to see if he's able to take the hit. Basically, if he goes 11 and that he gets a 1, he will not break his bones. He will just have kind of, it will hurt a bit. But the higher he goes, the worse it gets. So, I didn't think he would get One for All, to be honest. But yeah, he got it, so I have to put it in. So yeah, for the next 10 months, he basically trained with Bakugo when they were at school, basically showing him that he had it now, his quirk. Oh yeah, as well. The next day, at school, someone tried to bully him and punched Deku, and basically he rolled. Well, that's a lot. Basically, someone just tried to punch him, basically like punch him in the arm, saying, "So when is your quirk going to arrive, huh, Deku?" With the guy, when he punched Deku, basically almost broke his hand because Deku basically resisted the attack fully. Then he said, "Oh, you didn't know? It came in yesterday." With everyone in class basically saying, "What?" He opens the window, places his hand pointing up, and decides to say, "I'll just shoot you a fireball." And sends and a, hey, wait. Yeah, actually it was a 14, so +3, 17. Yeah, it was big. Basically making a freaking light show sending it. With everyone basically saying, "What the hell?" And with Bakugo saying, "Is your hand okay?" Which it is. And Bakugo's like, "So, your quirk finally came in?" And then he said, "Yeah, well, a Sludge villain attacked me and it basically just activated. After that, I met All Might." With everyone basically going apeshit. "You met All Might? No way!" And yeah. So after that, he trains basically. Um, so during the 10 months of training, basically, what happens is that he finds out that he can basically use practically every element, but he doesn't really train them because let's say he only gets because let's say he only thinks about it like about a week before the entrance exam, thinking, "Wait, if I have fire, can't I do something else?" Basically, he trained his fire like, well, no, he only trained for One for All practically. So the rest of his whatever he tried to do basically didn't go up. But with One for All, he basically augmented uh, once more for a modifier on every roll. because basically over time his quirk is going to be boosted and augment that number a lot. It will take time, but still, because, well, it took 10 months to do that. Basically, that number can go up naturally for every rolls, and then there's for attack rolls with specific elements that basically, after doing it, I roll a d20 to basically see. So yeah, I'm going to have to put on a paper a note of how much I add to every roll when I use a elemental roll for each element. So I'm going to end it here before UA, and the elements that Deku can control are fire, water, ice, earth, thunder, wind. Wait, I'm going to say those in the next video. I'm going to do the paper first, but yeah. Hope you liked it. If you think I'm being rough on Deku or being too gentle on him because of the dice and stuff, tell me. If you don't like the series, tell me as well. But basically, this is the first time I've never seen actually a what if that had this type of things in it. So, yeah, everything is based on luck. So, hope you liked it. Natsu, out. If that thing can let me. Okay, Natsu, out.